generally we see anywhere from 10 to 20 changes made during the average session.
10 to 20.
Wow.
And when you consider that the average change order starts at $2,000 on the smallest project,
Whoa.
we've saved you $20,000 before a project even begins.
Welcome to Brew Talks. I'm Steve Stroud. I'm President and CEO of Roswell Inc. We're happy to be here and also want to remind you that our new sponsor is Wellstar North Fulton. We're so happy to have the hospital on board supporting the Brew Talks and the many, many, many more episodes we've got coming down the pipe.
And I'm Ashley Allen, Director of Operations for Roswell Inc. And today we have with us Mary and Mark with Walk Your Plans, a really cool new concept that is just transforming the design and architecture space. So welcome. Thank you guys for being on.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much
having
for
us.
having us.
Yeah.
Got-
So I think first, we got to tell everybody
what
what is
it
Walk
is.
Your
Walk
Plans.
Your
It's
Plans.
like it's a noun and a verb. Like you got to walk your plans and
It is. So we are a cutting edge projection facility where we allow you to walk residential and commercial floor plans at scale before you build. So we can take any floor plan, any elevation, and effectively create the closest thing you will get to being in your space before you build as you're going to get. And so, we've had folks in who say, we used to lay lumber out in our backyard to get the sense of the space and the layout. And we're like, well, no more lumber anymore. We can just do it for you right here. So,
Which is really cool because I've had 2 or 3 people go, walk your plans, walk your plans. Is that like a mission trip to the Middle East? I said, no, not at all, not at all. And really, it's not goggles. You're literally in a big white box.
Yes.
In an industrial area here in Roswell. Great offices, by the way.
Thank you.
And you literally project on the walls and on the floor. I think that's just amazing.
And massively. Like how much can
How
you guys
big?
project? I know you can do really, really large scale projects, but just the space you're in is pretty substantial.
Yeah, so our warehouse is 4,000 square feet. The projectable area on the floor is 2,000, and then we have 2 elevation walls as well. But a lot of people think that's kind of limiting. It's just 2,000 feet on the floor. But the beauty of our technology is I'm just scrolling you through your whole floor plan. So you can go room by room. So you're looking about 2,000 square feet at a time. And really, that's all you can really be concentrating on at one time. If you're looking at a space much bigger than that, you kind of get lost in it. So.
2,000 square feet at a time seems like a lot.
That's a lot,
That seems like enough.
It's fun because we do have some spaces that it fits. It can be a restaurant, a 1,200 square foot restaurant, and it fully fits within our space. And so, we've seen everything from tiny homes up to 100,000 square foot commercial properties.
Wow.
And one of the things that, a lot of people do ask us, what about AR, VR? And of course, those are services that we will add, and they exist today. But the difference with Walk Your Plans is that we really are a collaboration space. So if you think about the goggles that you put on, that's kind of a singular experience. Only one person can have the goggles on at a time.
Right.
And it's not a place where you can collaborate with other stakeholders. And so the beauty of what we do in our space is it's a place where you can bring all the stakeholders, all the trades, everyone together to experience the space at the same time and make those decisions that will impact the construction process down the road.
Well, cool thing was when we brought one of the chefs with us when we had lunch over there, right? And he was like, I wished I had this on my build out.
Yeah.
Because what you really do see is the actual space.
Yep.
Like the space between the kitchen / I'll say the stoves and the ovens.
Yep.
To the workspace and the distance in between, and you're standing there, like seeing that it's this high and what it looks like, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that changes the game when you can, because you can look at plans, you can look them on a screen, but when you're standing in it and it's the actual size, I think it's a game changer, right?
So we actually had one restaurant come to us, and they brought their entire team. They brought their head chef. They walked the space, and within 1 hour, Walk Your Plans, they completely reconfigured their kitchen. The architect had one thing in mind, and of course, he
Right.
designed to, the best of his ability. But once they actually brought the staff into the space, they discovered that they actually were able to sort of value engineer the space to bring additional equipment in and make a better use of somewhat limited space.
Well, and the other one that has resonated multiple times because we forget about change orders, right? We forget about how many times we're about 3/4 of the our walls are up in an office build out or in our residential, and we go, why didn't we think of it? It's like that door needs to be 4 feet this way, right? Because we lose all of this space by putting us in a corner, et cetera, right? Or it's, wait a minute, there's no plugs in here.
Yeah.
There's no place to plug in.
Yeah.
And that's
my
the other
desk
thing.
was going to be on that wall, and my plugins over
Yeah,
there. This
right.
isn't going to work. Yeah.
So I think that's the amazing part. And as I've talked to a couple builders, custom builders, residential builders here, and also a couple of construction companies that came to our luncheon with you guys, it's amazing what they said was like, I can walk a dental practice through their actual, walk them through, right?
Yep.
And they go, that's not going to work because we need this, and this on this wall, along with, and like you said, they bring in their manufacturer that does the install along with the architect, and it's like a whole different conversation.
100%.
I think what we see a lot of times is people, when they're in the design phase, they're thinking of a few aspects of whatever they're building out, whether it's a house, whether it's commercial property. And they've really thought through a handful of things that are pain points for them in their current job. But then they get in and they'll get to a different section of the house or commercial building, and they'll realize, wow, we really didn't think through this part at all. And, we had people that in a residential, they had spent a ton of time designing their kitchen. They get up to the upstairs and go, well, this layout doesn't work at all.
Right.
So those are the types of things that if you find it once you're framing, that's going to be very expensive.
Very expensive.
And time consuming. I mean,
Yes.
that's what really slows projects down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, one of the things it's, a lot of homeowners when they come in, the process of building a home can take a really, really long time. And it's also incredibly emotional. And so we are a space that also makes some of those decisions fun. It makes the process fun. Like the smiles that we see when people see their home come at full scale. I mean, it's pretty incredible what we get to see every day. And so we like to say that we are a fun but incredibly productive part of the building process.
Well, and that reminds me too. I was talking to a buddy that was saying he's getting ready to do like 2,000 additional square feet onto his house. It's a reno,
Yeah.
right? And so telling him about your service, he's like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, maybe we ought to look through how this is going to work. Because at the end of the day, like you said, you can make it fun and you can bring the counter guy in.
Yep.
Everybody can be there. Everybody can hear it all at one time.
Yep.
You can really make some decisions before you start putting walls down.
Yep.
You start running plumbing. You start doing all those kind of things that change the game
Yep.
that can't be easily changed.
Well,
Yep.
we've even talked about how this is not just in the building phase, but even when you get to the design phase of
Start
it,
early.
I have a really easy time visualizing things, but I don't think that that's the case for a lot of people. I've learned that throughout life, sister-in-laws and helping with, things. I'm like, how do you not see this? So it sometimes helps to actually, rather than just like kind of a vision board, to come and see what do the different different patterns and textures look like next to each other. We looked at something like that when we were there for our luncheon, and it really helps people get a sense of what does that all look like together.
Yeah, and we've, one of the things we had a lot of clients ask us for is they said, hey, like it would be really cool if you guys had some furniture on casters so we could play around and really get a sense of what the space
that's a
feels like
great
with
idea.
furniture. So we've recently added furniture to our space, so
That's cool.
you can really start to introduce some elements that add some dimension to the space as well to help you in that decision making process.
Yeah, it was cool because when we were looking at, we had a local private school, and the thing that I was most impressed with as they actually brought their architect, and the architect was talking back and forth, and one of the things they immediately picked up on was like, wait a minute, these bathrooms are in the wrong spot, like totally in the wrong spot. Like the toilets were literally in the wrong spot.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was just that whole conversation. And then, one of the things you shared with the group was the fact that bring your architect, bring it in, bring it on their laptop. If they want to make changes while they're there, they can do that and move things around so that you're projecting it,
Yeah.
the customer's seeing it, right? You know, like you said, Ashley's always the one that brings it in and says, this is really what it looks like. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, that helps me. Now I can see it,
I'm the
right?
one putting like mock-ups together just haphazardly
Yeah.
in Photoshop to be like, now do you see the
see-
vision?
Yeah,
And
I'm
like,
in, I'm in.
we get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But
But-
obviously still on paper is not into the scale of the projects that your clients have. It just really helps make it immersive. And to your point, I mean, when people are doing build out, commercial especially,
Right.
and big, massive, offices or, medical practices, there's a lot to take into consideration. And your architects and your engineers, they are professionals in their field, but they're not all doctors or
Right.
restaurateurs or whatever. And so just taking that kind of like, all right, we're going to dedicate an hour or two to really look through and walk it, space by space.
That's right.
I mean, the number of times that we hear from businesses of, oh, we got to move our open date back 3 months because
We need
we
to
got in there,
shift
we did our
things.
walkthrough the other day and realized there wasn't, this wasn't laid out right, or there wasn't enough space here, or we forgot to account for this. And so it just gives you that opportunity to say, oh, let's pump the brakes before anything
Let's make
really
sure.
starts being built, and do that final like systems check.
Yeah, it's easy to give somebody kind of a list of what you want, but they're just kind of interpreting that themselves. When you get in our space and you're sitting there and talking or walking with them through it, you actually get a better understanding of what they mean. It's not just kind of reading what they wrote on paper. You're having a real conversation. We have builders tell us all the time, or architects tell us all the time, we got so many decisions made in such a short period of time where it's normally a long back and forth.
That's right.
You've got
Speeds the process
It just
up.
speeds the process up for everyone, and you get a truer sense of what they really want and what they're
Well,
looking
and I
for.
think it's kind of cool that you all actually work with some national builders that have like some true, this is the Barrington, and this is the Bullock, and this is the different versions, but then they bring them in so that their clients can see it.
Yeah.
Right? Versus just seeing it on sheets or online. And it does make a difference, because one of the other ones that popped up on my radar is when you had that kitchen slash I'll call it living room all in one, and you had the couches, not the physical couches, but you had the couches drawn in on the floor, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, you can't get around this.
Right.
Like, if we've got 6 grandkids running around here, how are we going to put them all in here
Right.
and open Christmas presents, right? I
Yeah.
mean, what's this going to look like?
Yeah.
So it's
Exactly.
a simple thing. You said something earlier that I think is brilliant, because it is probably one of the most emotional decisions. It's the largest purchase any person will do
Yeah.
is a home, right? And y'all make it fun. You make it a date night.
Yes, so we have done everything from date nights. So, we welcome you with champagne, a charcuterie board.
Love
we
it.
actually had a proposal at Walker Plans a couple of weeks
Yeah.
ago. So a couple were walking their future space, and he got down on one knee and proposed. And so when I tell you that we are a space where people really get excited, we've watched, we had a little girl who asked her mom and dad, she wanted dad to carry mom across the threshold. So we see some really pretty incredible moments, but we also see really practical things happening.
Yeah.
So for the end user, generally we see anywhere from 10 to 20 changes made during the average session.
10 to 20.
Wow.
And when you consider that the average change order starts at $2,000 on the smallest project,
Whoa.
we've saved you $20,000 before a project even begins. And it's not always big changes.
Right.
Sometimes it's, 10 or 20 tiny changes, but it's those things that you would have to live with. Where are your pinch points? Where are the places, that you wish you had a pocket door
Yeah.
instead of a regular door? Those things that become really expensive down the road. And then to Mark's point, on the builder, architect, trade side of the business, again, we had a builder walk out and say, we made 2 months of decisions in 2 hours. And so there's a real value prop for those folks who time is money, and they need to
Yeah.
keep a project moving. They need to get their clients to a decision point so that they aren't held up any longer. And, one time we actually did have an architect who called us and he said, I just need to get my clients to make a decision.
Ah.
You know, they've been really
Helpful.
struggling to
Right.
understand this concept on a sheet of paper. So just give me an hour, and they got to the decision point, which is great.
So we hooked up early when you were just starting to
Yeah.
get kicked off and moving in, and it's been a fantastic relationship because for us as an economic development organization, it's easy for us to connect you with the
Yeah.
right, from the commercial side to the residential side to everything in between. Tell us a little bit. How did you get into this? What spurred this? I know you both had corporate backgrounds,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you grew up here.
I did. I'm from here, yeah. But no, we got into this because we actually saw it on social media and we looked at each other and said, how does this not exist here? And so that was really kind of what kicked it off. I mean, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add.
Yeah, so we saw the concept. It's funny, I still remember the date, April 17th.
Oh, almost there.
I saw a video on
Wow.
social media, and I actually sent the video to his mom, and I said, this is brilliant. Someone should do it. And her response was, it should be you.
Oh.
And so the next day, I remember Mark and I were having breakfast, and I looked at him like, I think we should call the founder. And so we set up some time to chat with him, and sure enough, they were in the process of licensing the technology across the country. We said, hey, we'd love to bring this to Georgia. And he said, great, get in line. There's actually 6 other people who are interested. So
Oh, I
we-
remember this story.
yeah,
right.
we hopped on a plane and went up to Cleveland, and we were fortunate enough to get awarded the territory. And so, you know, we were the 3rd location in the country to open.
It's amazing.
And so incredibly proud to be in Roswell. We were really, really intentional about where we selected to open a business.
It's a great spot.
And we are really, really proud to be part of the Roswell business community. But I think while we were number 3 in the country, we're rapidly growing. And so you will see Walk Your Plans across the country and actually across the globe here in the not so
Wow.
distant future.
Well, it's great technology, and obviously, it's only helping the industries that we support
Right.
every day. So you're a great partner for that, and we appreciate that because
Yeah.
the technology is phenomenal.
It is. And I mean, I think it's truly going to be just part of the process. It's going to be the norm here shortly.
Yeah.
So it's exciting to see that you guys are on the forefront of that.
Yeah, and we can't thank you guys enough for all of your support. I think Roswell Inc. has been just instrumental in our success and our growth. Even just being somebody to pick up the phone when we call. As a new small business owner, that means a lot. And it is a lifeline when we need it, and it's an encouragement when we need it. And it's, you know, you guys just opening doors, you know, and helping us get connected. So, like I said, we were intentional about selecting Roswell, and I think that was a really good decision for us.
Well, we
Thank
appreciate
you.
you being here. We're here to support you both. You know, anytime you've got our cell numbers, ring us.
Yes.
How can the listening audience find you?
Yes, you can find us online at walkyourplansatlanta.com or
Awesome.
check us out on Instagram at walkyourplansatlanta.
And what we always say in Roswell, it's a great day to do business in Roswell, so let's do some business.
Let's
Thanks
do
for
it.
being on.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Cheers.